We want to get back to one of our top stories, Iran launching a, quote, powerful and destructive missile strike on a U.S. military base in Qatar today. The attack coming after Iran issued threats to retaliate against the U.S. and after the U.S. bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. Qatar saying it successfully intercepted the short and medium-range ballistic missiles. We can tell you no deaths or injuries have been reported. That's confirmed by President Trump. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security, Jack Tomarchio, joining us now with some insight. Thanks for being here, Jack.
Thank you.
A lot going on over the last week, really. The most striking incident to happen on Saturday when the U.S. bombed these nuclear sites. We know today that the missiles were intercepted, but why target Qatar out of all of the U.S. military bases in the Middle East?
Sure. Qatar is the home of Al Udeid Air Base, and it is a joint air base. There's about 11,000 personnel there. Many of them are U.S. troops, Air Force, Marines. It is also the home of the Combined Air and Space Operations Center. Think of a big mission control center for all national security or international security for the Gulf states. So this is a very, very important communications and operations node in that area. So that's probably why they hit it. There are certainly other bases around there, but none of them have the impact and the importance of this particular base.
Yeah. We should clarify why they launched the missiles in that direction. Qatar is saying that they were able to intercept all of the missiles. Since the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend, a lot of people have been calling this World War III, or that we should anticipate World War III. And now that Iran has attacked back with the same number of missiles as the U.S., do you think we're out of the woods here as far as a threat from Iran? Is it a sign that they're backing off?
Well, it could be a couple things. It could be a face-saving step by the Iranians. They don't have a lot of assets right now. About 40% of their ballistic missiles were destroyed by the Israelis in the opening phases of the war.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a second strike by the Americans, but the ball's kind of in the Iranians' court. So they've just had a measured response. That they actually gave fair warning that they were going to attack this airbase in Qatar. They did. The missiles were intercepted, so nobody was killed. No big damage was done. They just don't have a lot of assets. So they have only a few cards that they can play. I don't think we're at a World War III phase. I don't think we're in a position where this is going to bring in the Chinese or the Russians. Okay. It just doesn't seem like it's really worth anybody's time. Certainly the Russians are busy right now with their own problems with Ukraine. Chinese are standing back, as they often do, and surveying the situation. But I don't think we're at a World War III phase.
Iran is warning of activating its sleeper cells. We heard some chatter about that over the weekend, that President Trump was personally warned that if you attack, we're going to activate these sleeper cells in the United States. Can you explain what that means exactly?
Sure. Well, first of all, we've been hearing about sleeper cells for 20 years. And when I was in office, we did get some classified reports about that, but I have seen no real evidence that these sleeper cells even exist. So for us to say, oh my gosh, there's all these sleeper cells that are to go operational tomorrow.
And these would be homegrown terrorists, people just minding their business, sent here from Iran. Is that
it could be,
what a sleeper cell looks like?
It could be a sleeper cell of Iranian citizens or Iranian expats who have come here under the guise of saying we don't want to live in Iran, but they're really working for the Iranian government. It could be U.S. citizens. It could be like the old lone wolf terrorist that maybe decide to make a point and make an attack. But again, I think that for us to worry about legions of Iranian operatives being mobilized around the country, I think we're a little ahead of our skis on that one.
Okay. Do you think the president exceeded his authority by bypassing Congress for authorization?
Well, the president has done what a lot of other presidents have done in the last 20 years, which is make a decision, go operational, theoretically go to war without going to Congress. So this isn't really anything new. We haven't seen this before.
At what point in these tensions, in this conflict, would the president have to go to Congress for authorization, if not over the weekend?
Well, again, it depends what kind of military operation we're looking at. We haven't seen a declaration of war in a long time. We haven't seen congressional authorization in a long time. Surely if the president decided to put lots of boots on the ground in Iran, which I don't think he will do, Iran is a big country. It would require a lot of American personnel in that country. I don't think that would be probably a prudent use of American force. So again, I don't think we're going to see that or the need for that in the near future.
All right, Jack Tomarchio, thank you so much for your time and battling the Schuylkill traffic for us to get here. Appreciate it. A number of U.S. cities are now on high alert. We talked about that with the possibility of these sleeper cells being activated. Fox's Caroline Elliott joining us live from New York City with the latest on the security increase. Caroline.
Yeah, Sheba, officials in New York, D.C., L.A., and Miami are all increasing security at Jewish religious sites as a direct response. We're told that the NYPD is currently tracking the situation in Iran closely right now, saying on a post in X earlier that out of an abundance of caution, we're deploying additional resources to religious, cultural, and diplomatic sites across New York City and coordinating with our federal partners. The NYPD tells us there aren't any known threats right now, but they're keeping a closer eye on soft targets like churches and synagogues that could be vulnerable to attacks. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the feds are working with local law enforcement agencies right now to hopefully stay ahead of any possible threats.
My responsibility is to secure the homeland and to do all I can to make sure that we're identifying threats that may be here, what we can do to get in front of them before anything could happen to the population that live here in the United States, but also to work with our local governors and law enforcement to make sure that they recognize potential threats or suspicious activities.
Meanwhile, over the last 24 hours, anti-war activists hit the streets in New York, L.A., and outside the White House, protesting military action in Iran. Protests are still ongoing in Chicago tonight, and we're hearing from groups that are planning additional demonstrations around the U.S. tomorrow. Sheba.
Caroline, thank you.